Hi, I'm Pam, the Messenger of Love. Welcome to another episode of the Magical Messages of Love. Tonight, we're going to be connecting to spirits again. I have a few different spirits that are coming in. When you join in tonight in the chat, you can put your name, where you're from. If you have a question to one of the spirits that is coming through, you can ask a question directly to them, or you can ask a question to your angels and spirit guides. It's up to you, and you can put your question in the chat anytime during the whole night that we're gathering here together. And I will get to you when I can and will answer your questions. So tonight we'll once again talk about love energy, but also energy shifting and consciousness and how we're all moving into these higher vibrations. So that's a lot of what the spirits are going to talk about tonight, is how they are observing us moving into this different energy shift. So tonight, one of the first guests that I have is John Denver. And it's interesting because a few days ago, I remember I was hearing one of his songs in my head, and I hadn't listened to the songs recently, so it just kind of came out of nowhere. And then I decided to go and, pick up a CD so I could listen to the music in the car. And I was listening to it, and there was a couple of songs that really stood out to me, but he has such beautiful music, and the lyrics, describe a lot of how we are spirits and connected to the earth and all of that. So one of the songs that really jumped out to me is called Fly Away. It's very beautiful, and the lyrics, just talk about that sense of, kind of being free in a sense, because we are always being bombarded by things. We have too many things going on. Maybe we have, our lives are a little too busy at times. We put too much in to everything that we're doing, maybe take on too many projects or have too many things on the calendar. And so we forget how to connect to nature and our true selves and be in our spirit more, kind of listening to ourselves, what we need and what feels good to us, to take time to relax at times, or go and, take a break, do something that's going to be a little bit more of a slower pace. A lot of times we're going so fast, we don't really even, get a chance to notice certain things, some of the things that spirit is sending to us, the signs and the synchronicities and other things that are happening. So, listening to his music kind of brought me to that pace, of that slower pace of just kind of letting go more, and not being in such a hurry for things. And so I really noticed that the sound of music and the type of music you listen to, the energy frequencies within that, really can help you to be calmer, release anxiety, things like that. And then also just kind of bring you into alignment with your chakras and your kind of balanced state. And meditation music is also, good for that. And there's other music types that may appeal to you, but just, remember to find those things and kind of balance things out, and listen to things sometimes, or even the sounds of nature outside, to hear things that are a little more calmer, creating that balance and that allowing that flow to come through you more, allowing your light to flow through. And if you're just joining, just go ahead and at any time you can put your questions in the chat. Let me know where you're from, if you have any comments or anything, and any questions for the spirits that I'm talking to tonight. So right now I'm talking to John Denver, and we're talking about his music, and he brought in a lot of beautiful messages, and he talked about home a lot, and he talked about how his music brought him that feeling of freedom and simplicity. So it just, when he was singing the music, it's like it brought him to that sense of just kind of letting go, like we're talking about. And he says he was a simple person in a sense too. He was, not seeking to have attention necessarily, or fame and fortune and all of these things that go along with being in the limelight. And he says instead of seeking really anything at all, he says, I was just kind of, being in the moment. And he just lived from that place of appreciation for, what was in the world, or what was like happening to him in that moment, or what was coming to him, what was inspiring him. He would just be more in that place of just feeling everything to its fullest. And just letting it be wherever it needed to go, like kind of following where he felt like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. That makes me happy. That makes me feel good. And so he would do that. He would really be just really good within himself, really peaceful and balanced, and just really accepted himself for who he was and what he brought and what his music was like and how it was a certain type of music that really connected to people and helped people to connect together and feel like it's almost like even in the time that was created, it was even going back in time more, just even more simpler times than when it was actually created. And he says he would also use his imagination a lot, and he loved the sounds of nature, so he used his imagination to make this music, and a lot of words would come from those things that he would experience. He says he used words in the music which reflected the feeling of coming home to nature. So he keeps talking about coming home, and that's the feeling that we get when we are more in alignment with ourselves, when we feel like we're doing the right thing, we're following the right path, we're all the things are just coming together, and it's also bringing us that memory of what the other side was like before we left to come back here again, right? So it was like it was a very freeing feeling, and all that love and peace. And so when we do that, when we kind of let go and we reflect in a way that we're feeling like our spirits are home here too, it's like we're remembering that feeling and we get to connect to it more. And the more you can bring in your true spirit while you're on the earth and have that memory come alive, the greater that you're going to create all kinds of things for you that really feel good. And then you can take those memories when you cross over again, and you can kind of remember that you had all those positive experiences and you learned a lot and you took all those opportunities and you didn't hold yourself back, and you just kind of went into it and followed the flow of that feeling, like really allowing it to expand in its own natural timing. So I think that's what he did a lot. I feel like with his energy, and he is with us here now, and he's talking about with his energy, he just kind of was really laid back, and he just stepped back and observed a lot. And when he did that, he noticed things that maybe other people didn't notice. And he also just was okay with wherever he was at in that moment. He never tried to make it something else more than it needed to be, because for him, he sensed what he calls more like God energy or love energy in all kinds of things. Like he could look at a leaf on a tree and he could see what that presence was more than just a leaf. He could see that and feel that vibration of it. And he does talk about how, the music having that vibration, like his music was trying to connect to that divine source and bring that through so people can have more of a pure connection that would really clear their energy. So if you think about maybe the earlier times that when we learned about energy and maybe we weren't as aware of it, like earlier on when we began to awaken several years ago, maybe we didn't know about energy as much or we didn't talk about it as much. But he's saying even through music and other experiences back then, it was like still doing the same effect of clearing our energy. So I thought that was interesting how he mentioned that. It reminds me of how I talk about chakras a lot, and clearing your chakras and making sure that you're letting things go that you're kind of holding on to, even if you encounter something during that day, that you learn how to release things and keep moving forward. And so music, whatever music you choose to listen to, can help you do that, whether that is meditation music or something else. And you'll be drawn to certain sounds in music, and sometimes I'm drawn to other music that's a little bit more upbeat because I like to dance. So sometimes I'm listening to faster music. But then I know sometimes that my nervous system gets overstimulated by that. So what I will do is then I'll try to kind of bring that down a little bit and go into something else that's a little calmer if I know that I'm getting too much stimulation from those sounds and vibrations. So all the frequencies work in different ways to help you in some kind of way to shift. Like if you listen to something that maybe is faster, like I was talking about, that might help you have fun, right? And loosen up. And so in that sense, you might need that if you are feeling down, if you're feeling like maybe depressed about something or having a weird day. Maybe listening to some really funky music is what helps you get out of it, right? So he's saying there's like a time and a place for all of this where you feel like it fits. When you need to connect to nature, then maybe you listen to nature sounds or you go outside, or you can listen to his type of music. And so it just depends on what you're working on and where you are. If you're feeling very stressed out, you might need that more mellow music to calm down. Right now, I'm talking to John Denver. So if you're just now joining, you can put your comments or questions in the chat. You can ask questions to John or any other spirits that come along tonight. And you can also ask questions to your spirit guides or angels. So just let me know if you have a question. I'll jump in there at some point and help you get an answer for that. And I want to thank you for joining tonight as we're talking more about energy shifting and just getting into our higher vibration. So John Denver was talking about how he helps others, with his music. He was helping them then, but now he's helping in another way beyond the music. He's helping people on the planet from where he's at to recognize our own unique energies and our energy vibrations, or signatures, as he calls it. So he says he's traveled to a star system. And this is where, in this star system is where they desire to gift us with a deeper understanding. So in this, their purpose, if you will, or what they're working on right now, is to help others here to recognize their gifts and start to open up to that more, because we have a lot of big awakenings happening right now. And he mentioned that he's coming from the star system from Sirius, and he says he returned to us, like in the way that he's kind of connecting to us now, and then also as he's like really telepathically working through us and whatnot. He says he's doing that to return to help you create a new planet as a more of a global thing, like a new version of the planet, like a higher energy, a different perspective. And so we're trying to invent and create this new atmosphere for everybody being more connected and being aware of their connections, and being not only aware, but kind of making decisions and choices, and saying certain words that reflect that. So knowing in your awareness, like if you have that awareness, then you'll notice if you say certain things, those words might be a lower vibration. If they're not a higher vibration, that could affect not only you, but other people connected to you. And it's kind of like a big, huge network that you're affecting. It's, you affect everyone when something happens like that. So if you do find yourself going into words that are maybe not as positive, or thoughts that are not as good, and you get stuck in something, maybe you feel overwhelmed or you feel angry at something that day, just know that you can jump out of it really quickly. There is that way of looking at it differently and just saying, what am I doing here? Why am I even doing this? And a lot of times what I like to think about is also even the physical effect that it has on your body. So if you are angry, it really starts to affect, your heart and your circulation, and it can give you, problems with your nervous system and in your brain and all of that. So just know that when you start to do those things, tell yourself, do I want to, do this to myself? Do I want to love myself and treat myself kindly? Or do I want to always allow those things to become so prominent that I'm angry a lot of the times and I'm really hurting myself physically, spiritually, energetically, the whole thing? And so, when you do notice it, and you have that awareness and you start to say, okay, I can shift out of this, it becomes easier. It's just a matter of doing it, and practicing that, and just keeping on, that awareness. Keep pointing things out to yourself, that maybe not picking at yourself, that kind of thing, but just saying, oh, was that the best thing that I should have said there? Just kind of catch yourself, because sometimes we say stuff that's so easy to get caught up in. It's like, oh, I didn't do that right, or I'm not good at that, or whatever. Some of the simple things that we say start to add up, and they cause a little bit of restriction and kind of close the doors to things. Even if it's just temporary, it kind of puts a little bit of a push-pull sensation. So anyway, what John was trying to say here is, we can be more simple. We can let go of some of these things and learn to notice when something is not feeling right and shift it out a lot quicker, whether that is through music or through your thoughts or through the activities that you take part in. And he talked about what right now what he's doing with everyone on the planet is, helping to, raise the energy vibration, but also trying to take it to where we're all amplified for the greater good. So he's seeing it as like he's talking about this big collective energy, and just really, from the place that he comes from Sirius, just all of those beings working with us to help us to get into a place where the energy is high enough. So we're shifting it in like a bigger way for the higher good. And then he talks about with us doing that, we are creating openings like doorways and passageways for us so that we can experience more abundance, more love, more peace. And it's just like a different feeling. You know how you walk outside one day and it's a beautiful day? Maybe it's like a sunny day, it's not too hot, not too cold. The wind's kind of a little bit like a breeze blowing through the trees, and everything just looks more magical, feels better, and you're really like feeling all kinds of good things are going to happen all of a sudden, because you have that experience of walking outside and feeling that way. And that's what they're talking about, is when we raise our frequency and go into these higher frequencies and these vibrations, we're basically seeing things that we haven't noticed before, but we're also creating it in a sense. We're kind of bringing it forward to us to see, that we are doing it. Because once we identify that it's happening and all those magical things happen in front of us, then it creates more of that, turning of the wheel. It creates that momentum where then the next thing we put more into it and more into it, right? And before long, we're not really sensing as much fear. We're not holding ourselves back as much. We're not getting stuck as much. And we notice immediately when something takes us there. Like maybe if we interact with somebody that produces that fear in a way, like kind of triggers us a little bit, then we're like, ooh, that's that thing that I didn't really want to do anymore because I felt that before. And so if you can notice it, that does help to release it easier. And then when you're in that higher vibration, you really don't want to go down. I mean, once you get up higher, you're like, hey, I like it up here. It's like I'm floating in the clouds. I don't really want to be in that other place. And everything that we experience, even if we do have those moments where something goes wrong, something causes you to feel fearful or maybe sad or angry, whatever it is, any of those things that happen, just know this. This is what I want you to hold really strong in your heart, okay? That is temporary. And if you start to see all of these things happening when something is off, just know that it's for a brief moment. And the more we can see that, the quicker it can shift. But if we focus too much on how much pain we're experiencing, how we're suffering, how nothing goes right, how, oh my gosh, this is going to take forever, or this is going to keep happening to me over and over again, then we will get stuck in that energy longer until we finally find a way to get out of it. So they're just wanting us to know that we do have tremendous power to see past it. Remember, fear is an illusion. It's not real. If you can really hold on to that, that will help too. Because if you know on the other side that everything is love and there's no fear that exists there, then we don't really need to experience it that much either. Like we can let it go too, because we have to know that what fear is in this world is our mind overthinking, is our mind getting stuck in things, or maybe if we experience trauma, it like repeats things in our mind. So all of those things are not real. And a lot of times we get stuff from the media too that tells us certain things that we should believe in that really don't help us. And that allows that to go further into the fear. And we just need to see past it. We need to see past that and say, okay, well, that may be something that's out there. Maybe that's happening. Maybe there is some realness to it, but maybe the perspective of it is a little off, or maybe people are too worried about it, and it doesn't need to be that much of a worry. Maybe there's an easy, simple way of working through it or a solution. So that's one thing to think about, is just knowing that there's always an easier way to deal with things that feel fearful to you. And so right now, John Denver was talking about how they're helping us to shift all together, all at once, because we're all one heart connected. And he says now, what he wants y'all to do, just really briefly with me, just join me for a moment. We're going to join our consciousness together and fly together. So he's going to take you to a place of innocence, of pure love, and he just wants you to be open to this experience. So if you can close your eyes for a minute and just take a few deep breaths. And then imagine that there is a light in your heart that is growing brighter. And there is a string attached to that light that's pulling up. And it's up to the sky in a way. It's like up to the heavens. So imagine that light is your receiving point. It's where you receive love. Now I want you to follow that string up to the heavens, just like you're a bird gently flying up. And as you're gliding up on that string, which is a string of light with a beautiful white light, let it carry you. Just let yourself be free, kind of floating. Just floating wherever you feel you were led to go. Let yourself float. And then if you feel the need, you can move around or fly around just like you're a bird. Following the light, flying with the light, feeling free. And in that freedom, you start to feel that feeling of coming home. Let yourself continue to fly and just gently glide along. And you may see lights, or you may see colors, you may see clouds. Whatever you see is meant for you. And now I want you to gather this energy, this pure state of love, and we're going to gather it back and bring it back down and pull it into your heart. Just breathe it in. Come back to your heart space. And that light and that freedom will now be a part of your heart and help you and guide you on your path. And when you're ready, just come back to your body again. You can open your eyes. And you have just brought in a beautiful energy. That is the energy of love that is connecting to you. It is always there, kind of traveling through you to come and connect and bring your energy up to that higher consciousness, that higher plane, but also to replenish, to balance, to bless you with that beautiful energy. And so you can do something very simple like this, where you just breathe for a few minutes and just imagine yourself gathering the energy to come in and be in that pure state. So that will help you to fill up your energy, because sometimes we get a little depleted, and then when we're trying to be more balanced or we're trying to let go of things, it's a little harder because we're not feeling as strong, right? So if you feel that sense of being fatigued or weak, or like you can't take on things that are hard, do more of those things, to do the breathing and breathe in the love. Just keep breathing in the love and know that that is for you. That is your gift, to bring that in and have that be a part of you. So that was really, really beautiful to do that together. I think he just wants us to feel like we are able to be in our spirit more. We're able to just go in that place where we're not worried about the physical as much. We're kind of letting go for just a moment so that we can see ourselves from a higher plane, and then know that we deserve love and bring it in. And that's where you can accept it a little easier, because sometimes if you're upset, if something's going wrong, you get so stuck in your emotions that it's difficult to receive. And maybe you might even have to go and do healing sessions with somebody, and that might even be difficult to bring in. So just know that the more you can kind of step outside of your body a little bit and just kind of observe like that, like you're a bird flying around, you can see how innocent you are and how there's nothing that you have to hold on to that has happened to you, that you can let all that go and start to feed in that beautiful love energy. Yes, we definitely have the capability and power to shift our thoughts, our energy, our alignment with source, and live our best lives. Alignment with source is important. Yes, it is. We talk about alignment all the time, and it's funny how sometimes we can make it a little more complicated. Like, oh my gosh, do I have the perfect frequency, and have I done enough meditations, and cleared out with sage and all kinds of things. And really, it doesn't have to be that hard. We're going to go in and out of different frequencies at times. But for me, the way I see alignment is really just following what you feel is right for you at any time. So whether that is following your passion, your path in life, your spiritual practices, your friendships, things that make you happy and, bring you laughter, whatever makes you feel that way, that is where your alignment is. And you can feel that, because if one day you just got up and you said, okay, I'm going to do whatever I want today, I'm going to just pick out something that I really enjoy. And for me, what I really enjoy is writing. So I'll give you my example. So if I'm writing, I feel really free. I feel good. I just get into this vibe and I'm just like connecting to it. And it's like all this stuff just comes to me, and it's like, wow, where did that come from? And I know it's coming from spirit and, my higher self and all of that. And it just feels like it's so easy. It feels simple. It feels like when you're a kid and you're just out there playing and you're not even thinking about anything. And so that's what I'm talking about with alignment, is when you're doing something that you forget about time. You forget about what's on the to-do list. You forget about the things that went wrong earlier. You forget about what you're worried about, which is a good thing, right? We don't want to worry all the time. Worrying is just being stuck, in that vibration of, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next, right? And it's like we're worrying about tomorrow or next week or next month or next year, the future. And we get so stuck in it, we're not really living where we are, and we're missing everything right in front of us. And sometimes I've looked at myself and looked at my environment and realized, well, I've been so busy this week, I didn't even notice that, that was kind of cool, that thing. And so I do sometimes miss those things too. But just know that you can come to that place of peace by kind of observing yourself sometimes, doing the little meditations and things, and just resetting yourself and getting into that alignment, which is that following yourself. Just follow who you are every day as much as you can and keep coming back to it. And if you get too busy and you're doing a lot of things that take you away from your alignment in a way, and it's like really going off track, that's when you just come back. You just bring yourself back. I kind of think of it like there's like this bungee cord effect, right? It's like you can go really far away from your heart sometimes, or get really stuck in your mind, right? and you go way far out there, but something kind of brings you back at one point because you're like, wait a minute, I'm too tired or nothing's going right. And so all of a sudden it's like it snaps back and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm doing too much. I'm working too hard. I'm trying too hard at everything. Like you just get it. Sometimes it'll come into your awareness and really, really strongly, even more. Sometimes we miss it. We're in the middle of the stressful events and things and we don't catch it. But you will always come back to that at some point. And when you do, just make sure you're really nurturing yourself and identifying how much your spirit needs at that time, if you need downtime, if you need to rest, if you need to just kind of shift things away. Like maybe you have too many things on your plate. Maybe you're trying to do too many things at the same time, or you're, working too many hours, or not carving out time really for the things that you enjoy. It's all a balance, right? I mean, if we had our ways, I guess we'd all be kids and just run around and be free and probably not work at all. But, if we have things that are part of our, daily tasks or things that really do need to get done, we can still do those things. It's just a matter of balancing things out. And sometimes listening to music helps that, listening to different music and taking time to get outside. Those things can take you to a place where you forget how hard things are, or, that you have a lot of things to do. So that helps a lot. If you're just now joining me, I just finished talking to John Denver, and now we're going to talk to another spirit. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat at any time. I'll jump in there and answer them, and they can be to the spirits that I'm talking to, or they can be to a spirit guide or an angel, however you wish to put your question in the chat. And right now we're going to start talking to another spirit, Frank Sinatra. So it's interesting we have a theme of flying today because I was hearing the song Come Fly With Me. So that's how I got into connecting to Frank. And he started to talk about, he was kind of funny at first. He was talking about himself, as who he was on the earth and how he was known. And he talked about being kind of the king of, he called himself the king of crooning, basically the king of a certain type of singing that he would do. And he says, he says he doesn't mind now from his perspective of where he is on the other side of being out of the spotlight. Like he kind of appreciates it a lot because he feels like maybe, being here, like he loved doing what he did, but he felt like maybe being in the spotlight, that part of it maybe wasn't his style per se. Like he could take on that character, if you will, and step out and do those things. But technically, his style was more of just kind of hanging back a little bit. So I thought that was interesting because I didn't really know he was going to go in that direction. And I thought it was interesting that he actually felt more like maybe he liked the other parts of life just as much, if not more, the other parts when he was not in the spotlight. And he said he did prefer to sit back and watch life. People, we do the people watching thing sometimes, right? We go out and we're just hanging out somewhere and we're watching other people and kind of enjoy the moment, kind of just sink into it. And he says he liked to watch things in life, kind of be the observer more, but not to watch it go by. He said he wanted to watch it fly with me. So I think he started to go in this direction with the fly thing again because he wanted to explain the energy component of that basically. So he says, what did I mean by fly with me? Well, that means that wherever your mind wanders, you will go, right? Your mind is very powerful and it is good to use to manifest and use your thoughts to create all kinds of beautiful things. But your mind can also wander to things too, in the wrong way. So we have both sides of the coin there. Like you could let it go in the wrong direction for a long time and get really far off and get out of alignment. But he's saying he would let his mind wander to things that, would give him kind of that inspiration a little bit and see what was possible. So we do have that ability to let our mind be very creative. And he said, also wherever your mind wanders, you will go, but wherever your heart anchors, love grows. So, let your mind be imaginative, use your imagination to go into the places that really create what you desire. See what that is, kind of visualize it, feel it, sense it in other ways, and then take where your mind has taken you on that imagination and anchor it in your heart and begin to feel it. See, you put that feeling in your heart to make that more real. And so he talks about that. And he also talked about flying. The word flying is just another word for accelerating. So this is when he's going to start to talk about energy a little bit. And he says accelerating is also expanding, because as you accelerate, you're building the energy, which can grow farther from the center point of your consciousness. And then he says, he was trying to explain that growing of the energy with the acceleration becoming the expansion of our consciousness. And he says, you didn't think I would be able to tell you these things, did you? And because it's interesting that we sometimes have these perspectives of people on earth, who they were, what they did for a living, their identity, their character, whatever that may be. We see them as only being connected to certain concepts and things like that. And he's saying, yes, but I'm on the other side and I see everything and know everything. And so I want to teach you a few things about energy, because I come here for that purpose. I come to you now to bring you that kind of connection to love. I want you to understand it. He says, because in your earth program, you only see the physical as your first level of awareness. So this is true. I mean, if we're looking at each other, like you're looking at me right now, you're seeing my physical expression. And when we're talking, you're hearing my words. And then, we get the sense of what people are like, physically about them, different attributes and things like that. And so we notice how people look and what they wear and their voice and all of these things. And that's what we first learn about somebody, and how we maybe sometimes categorize them in a way that we shouldn't. But, that's how we get to know people at first. And then we start to learn more about them, more on the inside, and what their emotional energy is like, what their mental energy is like, their spiritual energy. And we begin to merge all those together. So he says, you saw me as Frank with a certain look and a certain style, and my voice was a sound that was very, defined in a way, and it created my personality. And he says, but underneath the surface of all of that, there's that thing called your light. And that is what you're all beginning to tune into more and notice in other people. So there may be a period of time on the earth where maybe we didn't notice that as much. Maybe we were more focused on the materialistic, physical things. And now we're starting to notice the light energy of people. What does their frequency feel like? What does, how does that compare to mine? And does that feel good? Or is that something I like? Do I have things in common with them on that energetic level? We're starting to connect to people that way rather than from a physical place. And he says, now from my angle, that is what I see. I see your light. So when he's looking at us right now, he's not observing us as physical beings in our bodies and all of that. He's observing our lights, and he's seeing us as that lighted body, right? And I've heard this before from other spirits about, it's very hard to explain because our perspective is so different. But, imagine if you just close your eyes and you can barely see a light, with your eyes coming through your eyelids or something. And, there's just maybe a little bit of a glimmer or something, or a little shine to it or something. That would be kind of what they're seeing more. They're sensing the energy with the light, right? So he was saying, if you open your inner eye, right, and if you tuned into me, he's saying into him, you would see my light. So if you were trying to sense him, you could by feelings as well, but also you could sense his light by closing your eyes and sensing your own inner eye, connecting to him. And then you would start to see a light, and his light may shine to you in a certain color. He may represent himself uniquely to you. So you might see a white light, or you might see purple or pink or some other color light, or you might see a rainbow of lights. And so that's what he's saying is, if you start to breathe and meditate and tune into that more, you can start to see the spirits of other people that are on the earth and on the other side. You'll begin to see a little bit of a glimmer of light. And then he talked about you can also feel the presence. So even if you can't see it, you will feel it. You'll get that sense that something's coming through. And he says that you all can do this. You all can feel my presence in different ways. And you can all sense me and feel me. And you don't need to be, an astrophysicist. You don't have to be some like really, super smart been doing this for years kind of thing. Like this is everybody. We all are spirits and we can use our energy to tap into things through different senses. Like we have clairvoyance, which is where we have images, and we have clairsentience, which is feelings, claircognizance, which is that sense of knowing and thinking, and then we have clairaudience, which is hearing, and there's a few other clairs as well that are more like taste and things like that. And so whatever your predominant sense is probably how you would pick up on a spirit like him or your spirit guide or your angels. And so he's saying you all can do that. So he wants you to start to believe in that more and use that more. So if there's a sense that you've been using for a while, maybe you've been, focusing on the feelings of things, and maybe you're an empath, maybe you're feeling a lot, you're always sensing energy, or you pick up on energy, not only people around you, but maybe you're a practitioner and you feel the energy of your clients or something like that. He says you can start to learn these other senses too if you haven't ever used them. Just begin to practice them more so that you can develop it a little bit more strongly. And, it's not that you're throwing the other one away. It's just you're kind of like saying, okay, I'm good. I did that. I learned that a little bit. Now let me go to the next program. And you may or may not develop it completely to where you have all of, these huge images coming through, but you might at least see some light or colors, or even in your mind's eye, kind of imagine what your light looks like. Imagine what your chakras look like, what your energy field looks like, your aura. Maybe you could close your eyes right now. And if you close your eyes, you could say, okay, what is my aura? Like what's up here over my head? What color do I see right now? So I want everybody to close your eyes and just imagine your aura. And on top of your head, just as it's stretching out in that area of your head, start to use your mind's eye and tap into the color of your head. And just whatever that first sense of color, whether it's just something that comes to you and you see it, you feel it, you know it, however it comes to you, that is the color that you have predominantly right now. And if you want to share that with me in the chat, that would be cool. We can kind of share what we're sensing. And if anybody wants to tell me what color they see over me, I would be kind of interested to see if anybody can pick up on colors with me too, or if you pick up on Frank's color, because he might have given you something. So anytime if you want to share that about the auras, feel free if you have a question about your energy. So right now he's saying, whatever that first thing is that came to you was the right thing. So the reason why he did this with you is to show you that sometimes you let your mind get in the way and say, oh, I can't do that, or I don't know what I'm getting, or I think it's this, but then maybe it's this, or, maybe it'll change, it'd be two colors or something. He's just saying, whatever you get is correct. So begin to use that. So if you get that right away, that first thing, that's it. That's the answer. That's the thing that is describing, what your energy is like right now. And he says he sent that information to you. He sent that to you. He connected to you right now as we're talking. And that is, such a beautiful energy that he was able to connect directly to all of us. You see how spirits are able to not only connect to just one person, but all of us together. And he kind of connects to us individually, but then we're all connected too. So it's interesting how they can do that simultaneously. They just use their energy and they, kind of produce this effect where they reach out. It's almost like that expansion, right? And they know where to go because we're tuning into them. And he says, you all do that all the time, among each other through your neural circuitry is what he calls it, and your energy. So it's part of your kind of your nervous system. You sense things too, and also your energy field. You sense things. And between those two things, that's how you're able to connect to other people and sense things are wrong. Like if you feel like suddenly somebody's sick and you haven't talked to them in a while, you're probably tuning in psychically or intuitively a little bit, but you may also be kind of tuning into their energy, maybe sensing their aura or something there. He also mentioned that we all have an energy portal, and this is where we are connected, like with our hearts, what we were doing earlier. So that's the energy portal he's talking about. And when you can tap into that, you say hello to your heart, and then you tell yourself, I am ready to fly. And that helps you to go do the things that you want to do. So if you're like not sure about something that you want to, move forward with, or you're trying to work on, you can just start to say, I am ready to fly. I'm ready to be open. I'm ready to feel love, experience love, receive love. So he also wanted to give y'all a little bit of a parting message. He said, so tonight, when you go to sleep and you are in your dreams, you will be flying home to where your heart desires to go. And your spirit guides and angels and a few other helpers will meet you. And he says, I might even step by to say hello. It's all part of the great energy shift. So be prepared, because after tonight, your life will never be the same. You will take off those rose colored glasses and chase your true purpose, choose that purpose that's right for you. We'll start to follow that more. And it will be crystal clear to you. So tonight, you're going to get a lot of clarity in your dreams. You're going to go to your spirit guides. You're going to go be a little bit more awakened to your path, and get really clear on things that you haven't been clear on, things you've been questioning, things you're not sure about what to do. It'll just kind of clear away the cobwebs for you to see it a little bit better. And then, he talks about how blessed and fortunate you are to experience this, to be a part of this. So you were called here for a reason, because to be here, even if whether you're live or you're listening to this later, just know you were called here to hear this message, to know that you're getting that experience and connecting to that, that energy that is helping you to have clarity on your spiritual path. And he says, now you can, as you get that clarity, you're getting even some right now as we're speaking. He says, right now you can fly free. See, you can see who you are, your light and love and all good things. And he says, like a mushy Valentine's Day card or a sweet romantic song, a beautiful melody, it's time to let your love shine through. So that was a very beautiful message that he brought in. Thank you for sharing about the colors. You had blue and then pink and then green. Yeah, I can see I was sensing pink and green as well. It's funny how when I focus on it, sometimes I'll get one color and then I'll be like, oh, wait, there's other colors, and I'll get a lot of other things too. So don't feel like, you have to have just one color or one image when you're trying to get some clairvoyance to come through. Just let it keep changing and shifting, and whatever else you get come to you will help you to identify what your energy is like. And so green is often a healing color, and pink can be very softer energy of love, like kind of like that self-love and nurturing color. I also see blue, like it always reminds me, depending on the color blue, you can go either way, but like the sky or the ocean, and that sense of being calm and peaceful, and just, being in that space of like letting yourself be kind of balanced more, just being in that really nice state. So that's what blue usually is associated with. And then also I've seen blues too, like more of an indigo color in people that have that indigo spirit energy. And so a lot of times they'll tune into that frequency because they came here as indigos to do certain things. So sometimes it's stronger in them. And you may see it change at different times. Your colors, your aura will change, and sometimes it'll be, something for a while, or maybe it will change throughout the day, different things happen to you. But a lot of times it changes as you're meditating or you're working on your spiritual path or beginning to shift more, or maybe you've done a lot of healing work on yourself, or maybe you're doing something different. Like at times, my mind might change. Like if I'm doing intuitive readings, and that might be different, and I might bring in more purple and white colors. If I'm doing writing, that might be a little different. I might even bring in like yellow or orange or something else because I'm trying to be more creative, but it might be a little bit of purple too. So it just depends on what you're focusing on. What is your goal right then, what you're aiming for, and maybe if you're doing any inner healing work at that time. If you have any questions before we end tonight, just go ahead and put your questions in the chat and I'll try to get to them. And if you don't get your question answered for some reason, or you think of something later, you can always contact me through my website or through email or on the Facebook group, and just send me a message through Facebook and I'll try to get your question answered. I see somebody saw white and gold. That's beautiful. And yellow, it keeps shifting. Yeah, white and gold, that's beautiful. Very pure vibrational energy, sounds like. And, that's also could be a sign of when you see more of those colors, more angelic presences being around you more directly, wanting to work with you more, because they're in a different dimension that's a certain, purity. And so that's what you're seeing there as that's coming through. Yellow, I see a lot of times when we're thinking a lot, or sometimes when we're being creative too, but a lot of times it's with thinking energy. And if you tend to use claircognizance more or think a lot, you might see more yellow. Or if you're doing something where you're reading, or maybe, you're doing something analytical, it might come through more that way as well. And yeah, there's a lot of different colors that you might see shifting, and we're never the same from moment to moment. We're always changing with what we're experiencing. Even right now, I'm sure we're all changing into different multicolored lights, just like we're, like Christmas lights or something. So I'm going to show y'all a couple things, and then if you still have questions, you can still put them in the chat and I'll try to get to them before we sign off for tonight. And then you can still ask me, like I said, through Facebook, and let me know if you have further things that you would like to know about. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you just a little information about my services. I offer different types of sessions. You can go to my website to learn about it, and find out what kind of healing or intuitive sessions you might be interested in. I do, I think I misspelled that, but it's past life regression. That's funny because I put path life regression, so that's kind of interesting. So you can learn your path too, I guess. But also you can do hypnosis with me, and I do theta healing, and I do, of course, intuitive readings with angels. And when I do the intuitive readings, I kind of tap into your chakras more, your aura. So I may see things with that or suggest things for you if you're not sure about where to go next on the particular path that you're on, or maybe you need to try to work on some things spiritually. I also do spiritual coaching and mentoring too. If you're wanting to learn more about mediumship, channeling, if you want to learn how to work with spirit guides, anything at all within the spiritual realm, I can help you and work with you to get you more in alignment for that and start the process of opening up more. So be sure to contact me if you're interested in that. And then also, of course, I have the YouTube channel, and I'm going to be putting more videos on there. And I'll be putting a lot of stuff about different spiritual topics, how to manifest, how to shift your energy like we've been talking about. And I'll also be bringing in messages from spirits even more. There'll be videos that I'm going to create with certain spirits that we're going to talk one-on-one with them a little bit more in detail. So tonight, like, you're getting a little bit of an experience with that. You're seeing some of their messages, but they're going to be a little more in depth, and we'll ask them questions. So if you have a spirit that you want me to talk about through my YouTube channel or on the next Facebook Live, if you want me to connect to them and bring them on and see what they have to say, let me know. Send me a message through Facebook or an email, and we'll put them on. We'll see what they have to say. There's so many that are waiting to come on. They're really excited about bringing y'all messages and helping you to heal anything at all that y'all want to know about. it's really beautiful that we can connect to them and learn things that maybe we would have looked past, if we were too busy and not paying attention to our spiritual connection. So if you have any questions, like I said, still you can put them in the chat or send me after the show is over. And just for now, I want y'all to know that, you all have big hearts. And just like that white and gold color you talked about, it's like imagine that white and gold in your heart and just healing energy coming through every day. Just let things go every day and be in that place of, allowing yourself to be a little freer. Just see what that is. Start to investigate more like, okay, what can I do today to just let go? Sometimes we just think too hard. A lot of times spirits are so funny. They tell me stuff like, we're trying too hard, or, we're making it more difficult. It's kind of like, the whole idea of trying to fit like a square peg into a round hole kind of thing or whatever. Like sometimes we're trying to do things that don't make any sense, or they're out of order in a way, or maybe we're pushing too hard or wanting things faster. And there's a divine timing to everything. And I've learned that a lot, because a lot of the times when I was doing certain practices spiritually or learning about new techniques, I would get really excited about it and want to learn it faster and, jump right into it. And then, somewhere along the way, I realized that, maybe it'll take a little bit more time to kind of unveil what that is. And what I've learned from that now is that as the years have passed, that I know so much more now because I let myself grow and have that perspective rather than just think that it can only be one thing. I allowed my practices and my gifts to grow into anything, whatever came to me. I didn't just put one title to my name or say I could only learn one thing or have one gift. I just said, let me just see what's out there. What do I want to learn? What am I interested in? Maybe I'm interested in numerology or astrology, or when I learned, past life regressions and hypnosis, it, took me to another point of being able to help people and connect to things. So everything you learn along the way, I know a lot of us want to be on that spiritual path, whether it's for our own practice and just in our personal life and kind of bring that in a little bit more, or maybe we want to follow it for our career path. We want to be healers or some kind of practitioner, or maybe you want to do intuitive work, or maybe you want to be a writer and write about spiritual topics, whatever that may be. All of those things are going to be coming more and more, because right now we're in this big, huge awakening. And tonight, remember, you're going to get that experience where you're going into that place of your dreams and you're going to connect to your true self more and bring it out and have that clarity and just be in that higher vibration just a little bit more. And so tomorrow, just imagine this, tomorrow you're going to wake up and you're going to have that clarity to start doing things. And, it'll keep growing every day, every day. And so that is a tremendous gift that they're bringing to y'all right now. It's like opening a present on Christmas and y'all get to open it right now. It's not even Christmas yet. We already get our Christmas presents. So we're very thankful for that happening and us being able to connect together. I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight and just being open to this experience and allowing Spirit to come in and bring messages and us all connecting together, being open with each other. And like I said, if you have more questions after the event, you can go ahead and send them to me through email or through Facebook. And I just want y'all to have a good evening, a good weekend. Keep being elevated. Keep your energy up high. Remember to keep loving yourself and connect to that higher vibration. Sending y'all love and light. Have a good evening. Good night.